Today we are discussing about kinematics from grade 11. Before that, subscribe, share and like our video. Let's continue the topic. Kinematics introduction. As an introduction, physics has many branches. Some of these are mechanics, optics, wave and optics, electricity, so and so on. From these branches of physics, one of the branch of physics, which is mechanics, it is one branch of physics that deals about motion of physical bodies. Motion of physical bodies. In order to study about a motion, we are classifying mechanics into two classes. These two classifications of mechanics classified into two classes. These are the first one, kinematics, which we are discussing in this unit, in unit 3, and the second one, dynamics. About dynamics, we are dealing in unit 4. So what is the difference between kinematics and dynamics? Kinematics, it studies about motion, but in absence of force, which is cause of motion. We are not dealing about force in kinematics, whereas dynamics, it studies about motion with a cause. It studies about motion with the cause, which is force. The cause of motion is force. And when we say a motion, it is a continuous change in position. Continuous change in position. Relative to other bodies or frame of reference. In order to say there is a motion, there must be a frame of reference. Therefore, a frame of reference, it is a fixed point used to measure a motion. An example of frame of reference, it can be tree, building, sun, planets, so and so on. If a body is not in state of motion, then it is in state of rest. When we say rest, no change in position, no change in position as time changes. As time changes. Based on pause, followed by a moving body, we are classifying motion into 4 classes. This is based on pause. We classify motion into 4 classes. These 4 classification of motion. The first one, rectilinear motion. It is a motion of a body along a straight line. For example, a car moving along a straight line. Also, falling body from a certain height is an example of rectilinear motion. The second classification of motion, curvilinear motion. It is a motion of a body along a curved path. And the third one, rotary motion. Before that, an example of curvilinear motion, horizontally thrown ball, revolution of the earth is an example of curvilinear motion. The third kind of motion is rotary motion. It is motion about fixed axis. Example, swinging door is an example of rotary motion. Wheel of car, also pointer of a watch, an example of rotary motion. The fourth and the last kind of motion is vibratory or oscillatory motion. It is such to and fro, back and forth, up, down. These are an example of vibratory motion. From this 4 classification of motion, both rotary motion and vibratory motion are examples of a periodic motion. These are an example of a periodic motion, which means they repeat with a certain interval of time. From this 4 classification of motion, under kinematics we are discussing about rectilinear motion or motion along a straight line, and curvilinear motion, which is a plane motion, we are discussing under 3.2. The third, rotational motion, in Unit 6, Grade 11. The last kind of motion, which is vibratory or oscillatory motion, in your Grade 12 lesson, Unit 2, discuss there.